Captive companies, they're for the manager and not for the producer. So if you are someone who wants to produce and you also want to be a manager, it's kind of a difficult spot to be in because your comp is really low, your overrides are not great, right? So you're doing a lot of work for other people and not really for yourself or for others. You're not able to help at the level. And the people who you are helping are new agents, they're not making a ton of money. So people are really unhappy and there's a lot of turnover. Where on this side of things, I think one of the main things that attract anyone getting into insurance, the first thing they think of is money, right?
All right. Hello, everybody. Grady Paulson, founded the America Agency. Beyond excited to have Christina Ande on with us today. She's got a background in insurance. Took some time to, and she'll tell us the story, took some time to join. Are we the force? Yeah, took some time to join the force. She was with the dark side for a little bit at a practice company for some years. But the persistence of Jay Maska is a force unbeknownst to many. So she finally joined us and is going to tell us her story and producing like crazy. But the bigger picture is she's actually just a referral machine. And that's what's so fun. And what I was about to allude to is that so often in business is that someone will learn something and that's helping them win and they're terrified to share it. Because the scarcity mindset sets in and I can't share my secret that I just figured out because someone could move it on my turf. And that philosophy is something that's going to keep that person broke or broken inside at least. And that's a sad place to be too. And I'm so grateful for you just having figured out this. And you're going to share us how you did it, but the detail at which you're about to give is something I've never seen. So I'm just so excited and so grateful to get to know you and to get to know you more and for this training. So, but without further ado, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, and how you found insurance, and then how you made your way to FFL?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm originally from New Jersey, but now I live in Arizona. So I made it from the East Coast to the West Coast. I had about 8 years of experience in the fashion industry. So I was a sales rep for about 10 different fashion lines across the Midwest. So I had a background in clienteling, which I think really helped when COVID hit, because unfortunately I lost my job like most people, and I went to a captive. I found insurance through that time frame, but it really helped me project now into the insurance business and utilize referrals. What I kind of learned in fashion and apply that to insurance. So I started off at a practice company, as we call it, for about 3 years. And then, like you had mentioned, the persistency of Jay Maska takes over. If you haven't met him, he's the most convincing person ever. So after 3 years of him talking with my fiance, actually, and like going back and forth, we finally decided to make the switch. And it's been the best thing we ever did. So we've been at FFL for about a year now. And great mentorship, great people around you. It's just such a blessing to be here. And I'm so grateful that we found it.
I love that. I love it. And so this is a loaded question, but what were some of the things that you liked about FFL versus where you were? Because you were there for years. And when you're with something, you maybe have conversations over those years about leaving or doing something else, but you resold yourself on that company so many times that then was there a breaking point? Was there a value stack proposition? Did you do the Ben Franklin close? Like what eventually got you here with us now?
Yeah. I think, and Jay says this all the time, and I can't say it better myself. Like I use his words to explain it. Captive companies, they're for the manager and not for the producer. So if you are someone who wants to produce and you also want to be a manager, it's kind of a difficult spot to be in because your comp is really low, your overrides are not great, right? So you're doing a lot of work for other people and not really for yourself or for others. You're not able to help at the level. And the people who you are helping are new agents, they're not making a ton of money. So people are really unhappy and there's a lot of turnover. Where on this side of things, I think one of the main things that attract anyone getting into insurance, the first thing they think of is money, right? But money doesn't last, especially when you've been in insurance for 3 years prior. Money doesn't last. So that's a huge plus. But I think it was the overall structure of the company. And then also just, again, the growth factor as well. I think leadership is structured so different. And I think it's an environment where everyone's here to help everyone, regardless of the agency, regardless of the team. So I think the culture itself was just all around better. And when I witnessed that, it was kind of a no-brainer to finally pull the plug and and jump. So
I love it. Well,
yeah.
and it's a story we hear all the time, and I love hearing it every time. And it's just, you're a testament towards being open to something, because there's people back at that other company that are still there and they're selling themselves every morning, that, you know, putting on the makeup is okay because everyone else has makeup on over there, and you're over. I've missed the reference, clown makeup, but you know, you've seen that meme before. But at the same time, you're like, I'm done, and I'm so happy for you and excited to see what you build here. And so, so talk to us about your sales style. Like, so I mean, your previous company had some leads, but you started doing referrals. We have lots of leads, but you also do referrals. Like, kind of talk me through about, you know, how this evolved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming from a place where, you know, on the captive side, you're told how many leads you got, how old they are. It's completely out of your control, right? So you have to, out of necessity, I had to become good at referrals, and I had to make that the main source of my production. So I think the plus side of that is just applying what I've learned over the years to this side of the business has been huge. I think a lot of times we think with the mindset of, oh, well, we could just buy more leads. I don't need referrals. But the thing that most people forget is that referrals are free. They're free leads, they're higher intent, they're higher retention. Because if let's say, you know, I sell a policy to your mom, Grady, and then I sell you, and your mom misses a payment and she's not answering, I'm going to call you and say, hey, Grady, what's up with mom? Is she doing okay? Right? I have that point of contact. I have a relationship with the family. So retention overall is higher. The closing ratio is higher. So if I could work hard and smart and make more out of my time and my day, why wouldn't I? Right. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just applying referrals to and making it a non-negotiable.
That's awesome. That's great. So, so last month you had a 30K month, which is fantastic. Is that your biggest month so far with us? You've had bigger months?
Yeah, so I think it was around like 36 when the month was done. And that was actually my biggest month with FFL so far, which has been great. I think my biggest in insurance overall was 40. So now I'm, you know, getting back in the swing of everything. I'm excited, and I know it's up from here. There's so many people around us doing much more. And I'm just happy every day to grow and learn. And hopefully that'll be 50 quite soon. So
Isn't it cool being at a place where like people put up 100, 150 plus in a month, and you're like, okay, because it's cool being the number one, but it's also not cool being number one when, you know, you don't have anyone to compete with, and what can I strive for? But then there's people that are so far up there. You're like, I don't want to work 140 hours a week. Like, good job for you guys. So, you know, I'll work my 60 and I'll be very happy. So, I mean, you find excitement in that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think the nice thing is there's no cap, right? You can go out and, like you were saying before, you could run any time zone. You can work as early as, you know, 5 Pacific time, right? All the way up to later and work those, you know, Alaska, Hawaii. So you're not in a position where anyone is telling you when you can and can't work, and your potential is unlimited. It's the work you put in is what you get out of this. And I truly believe that. That, you know, it doesn't take like a rocket scientist to sell insurance. It just takes hard work ethic and a little bit of grit, because you're going to get told no a lot. So pushing through that.
Amen. So, all right. So are you buying leads now
Yeah.
and doing referrals? So what do you buy now? What kind of
Yeah.
leads do you like?
So I only run aged leads. I do a lot of like aged vets, and I do bronze leads. I love the ILC bronze, especially since they've
Like
been
$1.50, right? Aren't they?
they're $1. And if you do an auto order, which I have auto order set up, they're 85 cents.
Oh my God.
I use those now as more like a filler. To be honest, I haven't really done bronze too much in like the last month, because I've been trying to get a little bit better with the vets. My first 6 months at FFL, I only ran refs really, and like old leads that I was sent at the very beginning. I didn't really buy leads. And then going into the second half of last year, I realized that leads are also essential. And if you can implement some sort of 50-50 into your business, that you're going to have the highest results. So this year I've been trying to spend a little bit more, which realistically compared to other people, it's very low. On an average, I spend $150 a week to $300 a week. So most people are spending, you know, to write 10,000 a week and, you know, submit a business or more, are spending much more than that. If we have new agents, right, we know like typically people spend at least 500 to 1,000. And again, that varies, that goes much higher. So I like to keep my lead spend low, and I can do that because of referrals.
will you share with us what you do with the bronze and the aged vets to be able to, I mean, how many total leads are you getting? And then how many of those leads are you making contact with? Kind of, are you CRM pounding them? Are you door knocking them? I mean, that's a crazy ROI.
Well, I get 50 a week. So 50 aged vets, it's like $300, right? Okay. And with those, I like to still hand dial. I do have a CRM. I use Ringy, so I do use that. Sometimes I find that my personal number, though, is the best for pickup. So as my Ringy is dialing, I started doing where I have it dialing, and then I'll also like hand dial. So I go through them like 3 times a day at least. So if I have 50 leads, I'm going through them at least 3 times each. And then I have old leads that I call as well. Like I'm not just calling my newest ones. So I try to call them at least 3 times a day each lead. And then I'll call them off my personal number as well if they're not picking up on an auto dialer. The dialers are great because it rings 3 times in a row. You're not taking the time to, punch in the numbers and everything. But if you're not getting answers, you just have to be resourceful. So I think just being persistent and not giving up until you get that, I always say like a sale a day keeps the blues away. So just keep pushing until, you find your one.
That's awesome. And so aged vets or bronze, you're just hand dialing and ringing them at the same, that's just working. You're just working.
Yeah. Just working.
because I'm so inclined. What's your quick, like 10, 15, 30-second open that you're saying to because these are old leads and they're, it's where a lot of times we get some frustrated people. They've been called 100 times. Like, how are you grabbing a hold of them real quick right in this the beginning?
Yeah, I just say, oh, hey, Grady, this is Christina Ande. I was actually giving you a quick call about the form you filled out a little while ago. It actually looks like you filled this out for final expense options for the state of Arizona. Did anyone from my office, did they actually get out to you about this or not yet? And they're going to give a yes or no. And I just kind of take the confused approach of like, why, why are we calling you? Why is this still here? And then I'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We've been so behind at the office. I actually usually don't even make these calls. I was giving you a call because we're trying to get this cleared out of the system. So no problem. We'll get that taken care of for you. Right. And then boom, you just go right into your script of whatever that is. So I think just like being on the side of the client and thinking, okay, if they haven't been called, they're going to be probably pretty upset that they filled something out. They haven't gotten this done. So just having compassion and leading with, being on their side, I think really is helpful.
That was awesome. All right, let's rally the group chat. Throw a CA in the chat below to show her some love for sharing her script. That was short, tight, perfect, just confused. I love the confused approach. Like, I don't know even what, I don't even usually make these calls. Like, you're lucky you got me today. That's awesome. Okay, so fantastic. Thank you for all that.